Thank you for taking time out. We are speaking the morning after the night before. The G premiered at Glasgow last night. How did the screening go? What was your reaction?
It was great. I mean, we've only been here about 24 hours, but everybody's been really cool. We had pretty much, I think it was a sold out screening. It was a packed house, and Dale and I did a Q&A afterwards. It was great, really fun.
And what was the general feeling for the crowd? I'm guessing that they were really into it. Was there a lot of questions at the Q&A?
Yeah, there were. I mean, usually, the host was saying if everyone stays, that's a good sign. It was pretty late. It was like I think it ended at 10:30, and no one left, and it went on for quite a while. So yeah, it was great. Really, really positive vibes.
I read that the character that Dale plays, Anne, was in part inspired by your own grandmother. What was it about her that you thought was, so fascinating that you wanted to transplant sort of her essence into a story?
Yeah, I think that's well put because it is inspired by her. It's not based on a true story. Um, but yeah, transplanting her essence. Um, she was just someone that always fascinated me. She was a tough cookie. One of the things I talked about at the Q&A last night was she didn't express fear like other human beings. In fact, I mean, she happened to be my grandmother, but I've never met anyone else who I'd never seen afraid. And in a situation where you would expect someone to be afraid, she would only express it as rage or anger, So she almost seemed to be missing that fear gene, but she did make up with it, make up with a certain amount of, yeah, she had a dark side a bit. But I feel like in my own way, I was pretty close to her, and I always admired her, and she had a lot of other talents as well. So, yeah, just all around a very fascinating person.
And how then how did you then sort of come up with the idea for the G? Where did that all begin?
It was really inspired by her character, and then you know, putting this very intense, sort of difficult older woman into just a crazy situation, this guardianship scam, which is something that I've read about and even had some personal sort of contact with over the years. And yeah, these situations where someone can legally take over someone else's life, uh, which sort of defies belief. But some of the details of the actual real world scams are crazier than anything that's in the actual film. So, yeah.
I think that's often the case, isn't it? You watch a piece of fiction and you're like, oh, it never happened, but then, fact is always stranger.
Yeah, there were some things that I've read about that we couldn't possibly have put in the film. No one would believe it.
And I kind of think that, the film kind of sheds a light on this like guardianship scam. It's not something that I was particularly familiar with before watched the film. You're kind of hoping that in a way the G might almost act as a cautionary tale and maybe help raise people's awareness that there are these people out there ready to prey upon, their elderly relatives and friends.
Yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, I think, I mean, this is not, a social realist sort of film or a documentary. I think that kind of political message is implicit just by making a film set in this context. Just like having an older female lead in a film like this is implicitly a statement. It's just because there is no other role that I'm aware of like this. There are some for older men, quite a few, but yeah, I think this film is fairly unique in that way. So yeah, all of that I think is implicit in the film, and for sure, I mean, my parents are getting older, myself, and there's so many, like they've been contacted by various scammers and what have you over the years. I mean, it's just yeah, it's it's a growing thing, especially in North America where the population's aging pretty rapidly. Um, so yeah, hopefully it'll raise some awareness of that kind of thing. But at the same time, I mean, the film is a dark thriller with a badass older female lead. So I think it's two things. It's that, and it's also, a smart character-driven film with great performances. Certainly Dale is awesome, and I'm also very proud of the whole supporting cast.
Yeah. I mean, Dale, she's been working for, a number of years, but she hasn't really had a whole lot of, lead roles. What was it about her that you knew was right for Anne?
Yeah, yeah. I think this is only her second lead role. I mean, hopefully after these she's going to get more of them, but you know, we'll see. And she certainly deserves it. Um, so I had seen her in a lot of things, and usually they're small parts, as you said. She's pretty well known for playing, crazy, psycho, toothless, older ladies, but that wasn't so I knew she had that in the bag. I wasn't too worried about that. What intrigued me about Dale was seeing her like a film I had seen recently was Leave No Trace. And in that she plays this very sort of in a very understated way, she plays a very concerned, caring person who wants to help this younger woman, but can't really force the issue. And it's a small part, but it's beautifully played, very understated. And when you piece together all of these things that she's done, you see, wow, she has this tremendous range that she never really gets to put in a single role. And I think that this film was always designed as a showcase role for an older female actress. And in Hollywood, when I say older, I mean over 25 years old.
They disappear after that
So
age.
yeah, after that, you're all washed up. Yeah. I mean, so, it was always designed for that. And I think, she really shows, sure, she's a badass in this film, but she shows tenderness. She shows all kinds of emotions that are just simmering under the surface. And it was really piecing together all those performances. I felt super confident. And, you know, I think she knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, definitely. I think the thing that I enjoyed as well, like you said, this is a story that we've kind of seen in a way with older men, plenty of times. This is a sort of a first with an older female, but it's also kind of one of the few films out there that shows a romantic entanglement of older bodies. Why was it important for you to sort of represent that? Because I think it's something, like you were saying, women age out in 25, but so too do romantic scenes between characters, unless it's maybe, I don't know, some like kitsch campy end of life rom-com. We don't really get those sort of scenes once people get past a certain age.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think in a way that's like your question is the answer as well. I mean, we just don't really see those scenes. And certainly some of the actors, I know Huck, who plays Joseph in that. I mean, this was always the vision, but before we even discussed it, he came to me and he said, um, I hope you're not going to just show us, you know, there's like a sort of a moment with a kind of a massage and then cut to us in bed smoking. And please don't do that because that's the way it always would be done. And I thought it was really interesting that before I'd even shared that with him, that was what he was hoping for, just to explore something that's a little bit different. And Dale was really intrigued by this, but she was also very anxious about doing a scene like that. As she said herself, I mean, her first lead role, which was only a couple years ago, that was her first on-screen kiss. And this is after a career, a decades-long career. She had never done even that. And so her second role, she's asked to do, a nude scene, a sex scene. She was like, what's my third role gonna be? So So it was something where I think she really felt it was a good idea. She felt it was really important for the film, but she had to feel comfortable. And so we talked with the other actor, and we discussed how we were going to treat it, and I think she's really happy with it now. And I think even though she's very kind, she always says like that I made her very comfortable and everyone was great. It's still a leap of faith on her part. I think it shows a lot of guts. You know, she is someone who, once she committed to this role, we developed a great relationship. It was a really lovely collaboration, and she was just full on. She's totally in, and she did all kinds of things that a lot of actors would have refused to do. So, including, climbing a ladder in sub-zero weather in her bare feet over and over again with a stunt harness on her. I mean, she was awesome. She was awesome to work with. She's a terrific actor, and we're talking about doing something again together, which would be great.
And sort of acting, alongside and in parallel to Anne in a way. You've got her granddaughter Emma, played by Romaine. What was, how did you find her? And then, how did you go about facilitating, the space for these two women to create this relationship? Because I think it sells on screen like, they have known each other, for a lot of years.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear you say that because one of the challenges for, a lower budget indie film is we didn't have a lot of time to establish relationships. It was really important for me to get the actors together a few times, especially for certain relationships. You just mentioned a key one. Another one would be her and Joseph, obviously. We're going to have some of those, the romantic entanglement, as you put it. So we were able to spend some time, just sort of the three of us, and go over it and sort of build something, but as quickly as we possibly could. And Roman is great. She's just she's a natural, and the two of them hit it off. I mean, I think that they recognized something in each other, and it worked.
Yeah, it definitely sells on screen. You could believe them quite easily as being granddaughter, grandmother. It's really clever casting.
Yeah, thank you.
And I guess, now that, it's screened at Glasgow and, there's going to be a release at some point in the future, why should audiences, take the time? Why should they come and watch this film?
Yeah, I think there's going to be a UK and Irish theatrical release in a few months' time, so that hasn't been announced yet. And why should they? Well, I mean, I think, you know, for one, it's, as I said, it's a dark thriller with a badass older female lead, something that is entertaining, but something that you haven't seen before. At the same time, I mean, all of the things we're discussing, I think, are not usually ideas you associate with a genre movie, so I think that for someone who's looking for a film that has a little more nuance, that deals with some issues both explicitly and implicitly, you'll find that in this film as well, so um, and this is basically someone who is not accepting getting old very gracefully. And yeah, I mean, so far the reaction has been great. The reviews have been great. And, you know, that's my pitch. And go check it out.
Cool. Well, thank you for your time, and I wish you best of luck with the rest of Glasgow.
Yeah, thanks so much.